Hashtag no music, no intro. We are back. It is that time again. Saints Block Party Podcast brought to you by Precious Works LLC. If you are watching this right now or listening to this right now, that means you are a Patreon or a YouTube member, and we appreciate you for listening and having the early access to our fourth player and our prospect of the week series. And we are talking about Ohio State safety defensive back Caleb Downs. If you missed our episode, our public episode, just to, I guess, put a bow on how things are going to be for our Patreon, the Prospect of the Week series going forward. The first 2 weeks, they are going to be available only exclusively early release to Patreons and YouTube members. And then after that, we will release the episode to the public. The difference between the two will be the Patreon YouTube episode, or it's going to have the clips that we've watched that we are looking at to highlight a prospect. If there's any, inside news or, some scuttlebutt, that's going to be just for the Patreons and YouTube member episode, and we'll essentially, it'll be a condensed version for the mass release. So we just wanted to put that out there, like we said on the last episode. Doing these prospect of the weeks, especially, not that we didn't last season, but it's a little different because we didn't have a lot of access to the all 22 last season. So we were just really going by YouTube cut-up players. Watching the all 22 of a prospect, and getting like a full sense of him, 4 games, 5 games sometimes, it's a very different process, I would say. And so and I don't want to be misconstrued. Like, we love doing this series. It's fun. I think we're doing it with the thought of, man, because can the Saints maybe get one of the players that we talked, except for Peter Woods, but can the Saints but it's been a fun series and we appreciate y'all. Before we get into Caleb Downs, I did want to drop, I guess you could say, a tidbit or what have you. Caleb Downs.
Palate cleanser.
My God, bro.
After last week, after watching Peter Woods, Lord Jesus.
Before watching him, it's funny because I remember when the Saints maybe were going to be picking, top 3, top 4, top 5. And it was like, oh, they're going to pass on juice for Caleb Downs. And I was just so annoyed, just hearing, I was like, bro, a safety? A safety?
Yeah, I was like, get that out of here. Out of here.
And then you watch him. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, he to me, again, this is me watching him, he to me by far is the best player in the draft. Now, is that a function of the draft class or a function of how good he is? I think is a little bit of both. Because if you're putting Caleb Downs in next year's draft class, I don't think you're saying you're not saying he's the best player in the draft. He may be the 15th or 16th best player in the draft. In this draft, to me, from just a football standpoint, he's the best player in the draft. And the comp that I had for him that I was saving for this show and this episode is as a prospect. Now, how he's been in the NFL, because I think when you think about how he's been in the NFL, the expectations of how good Caleb Downs could be gets a little elevated. But he is a souped up Brian Branch coming out of college to me. Just in terms of everything that he does defensively. He can play almost every position in the secondary except for outside corner. He can play nickelback position, he can play the slot. He can play deep safety. He can play single. He is at times a box safety. And it's very similar to how Brian Branch was utilized at Alabama. And we all know the whole Brian Branch story of 2023. And to me, just as a prospect, because Brian Branch is going on in the NFL has been outstanding for the Lions. So I'm not trying to put the expectation, but he is an even more souped up version of Brian Branch was as a player coming out of college. And I can't help but think that with how much Jeff Ireland loved Brian Branch coming out of college and they passed on him for Foskey and that was Mickey's doing, that when you see a player like Caleb Downs and you're just can right the wrong, I know it's going to be tempting at 8, bro. I just know it's going to be tempting.
Oh, I know Jeff going to be rocked up, bro. Jeff going to want
Jeff and Brandon Staley, bro. Can't tell.
Come. That's the thing that stood out to me the most is watching him. You immediately see the vision with Brandon Staley's defense.
So clear, bro.
Immediately.
Bro. Oh my God. It's a perfect match. It really is a perfect match with a player and a defensive coordinator. And I'm not comparing Caleb Downs to these players, but how Brandon Staley utilized Jalen Ramsey, how he utilized Derwin James at the Chargers, how he at times utilized Alontae Taylor last season, but like it's not comparable, bro. Like it is not comparable
at all.
Go ahead.
But just from a standpoint of what Brandon Staley likes to do, change a picture post snap, pre-snap, post-snap, and within the defense, like after the snap, like within whatever the offense is actually doing, changing the picture in that split second. Caleb Downs already does that, and we saw it a lot, especially in this 2025 tape with Matt Patricia calling the defense. You saw him just kind of expand. You saw like from 2024 to 25, he was good in both years, but you saw like him really become like that leader, that alpha dog of the defense in 2025, where he calling everything, he routing traffic, he making sure everybody on point, and he's like dead focused on the quarterback and the motion and all the pre-snap motion. He's watching everything, bro.
He is one of the smartest players I've seen on film, bro. It is insane.
Intelligence pops off the tape. Like just the intelligence, just like, wow, this dude is just smart.
Like, it's insane. Before we get into a deep dive, something that I wanted to start implementing for this Prospect of the Week series, since we have the data, and I was like, we should talk about this. Again, this is going to be just Patreon only. We're going to cut this out for the full release.
.com/Saints Party. Y'all, telling you. You know, he had a couple of wide receivers in there, you know, obviously Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and a couple others. You know, kind of similar to this draft. You know what I'm saying? Kind of similar to this draft where you don't have a ton of quarterbacks. You got number 1 overall, you know, Fernando. Ty Simpson's going to go somewhere who nobody knows yet. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? You got a couple offensive linemen. Like, those are your high values. Then you got the edge rushers. Even the edge rushers are, like, kind of scheme dependent, kind of like, you know, eye of the beholder type of edge rushers. So it's not like clear cut edge rushers that's going to go like you know first like top 1 or top 2 like Hutchinson a couple years ago. So I don't know, bro. Like I really don't know. Like Daniel Jeremiah, I think he had Caleb Downs go 11th in his first mock draft. That feels like it's kind of accurate. Like that's kind of the sweet spot. But the Saints are like the prime meridian, bro. Like if he gets past the Saints, I just don't know because like the Saints could absolutely take him because they honestly don't really care that much about, you know, like the position of value stuff. I think they would take him if they love him. I know Jeff Ireland's going to be super high on him. I know Brandon Staley's going to be super high on him. And I know even Kellen, Kellen will respect like Caleb Downs gangster. Like he will respect, you know, Caleb, you know, I mean, we'll say what you want about Justin Reed's Saints tenure so far, you know, it's fine, but Kellen Moore wanted some Justin Reed, bro. Like
he does. He did.
He wanted him, bro. He wanted him. You know, so they gonna value that position.
They are. And if they drafted Caleb Downs, he immediately becomes top 3 player on the defensive side of the ball. Like it's not
easily.
Like he's like even if DeMario came back, like he's behind like Chase Young. From jump, bro. Just from jump. Like, he's already there.
And one thing I do love about Caleb Downs, if you add him to the Saints defense, like, he's that dog.
Yes.
Like, our dogs are old now. Like, DeMario, old dog. Cam Jordan, you know what I'm saying? Like, they past their prime, you know? We got some youngsters coming up, you know what I'm saying? But, like, young Caleb Downs, you getting that young leader early up in there that could be a part of the growth of the new Saints defense going forward for like the next, you know, 5-10 years or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Could be the face of that defense going forward. Like that's intriguing to me, bro. Like that's super intriguing.
It is. Let me share his stats and then we can kind of get into we pulled like a lot of video clips for this episode. So this is from PFF. He had 44 solo tackles as a safety, 2 interceptions, which I think if there's like detractors to him in terms of like they look at the limited number of interceptions that he's had, like in terms of like he doesn't get a lot of interceptions.
Ball production,
yep. 5 pressures and then 23 receptions allowed from the safety position. Played 560 snaps and 232 of those were run defense, 20 pass rush, and then 308 in coverage snaps. It's just the fit of him potentially replacing Alontae just makes and I'm not saying that they should draft him just for him to replace Alante. I truly think he's the best player in the draft, but just how he could fit that role very well. And got to cut this out, but another tidbit, but it could get to the point where, Alante just has an offer on the table from one of those teams that's too good to pass up.
Mm-hmm.
And he leaves, which I'm not crying myself to sleep over. I'm like, bye, buddy. See you later.
See you later, bro.
But all that said, it would create a hole on the team and a hole in the defense. And this team can't really afford to have more holes added to it.
Correct. But I think it's a hole that can be upgraded. Like, I think you could get much better than Alante. You know what I'm saying? And that's no disrespect to him. I think he's a good player, but you could do a lot better, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially at that position. He's different. Obviously, Caleb Downs is a safety. Alante is a cornerback. And Caleb
Which
Downs,
is funny because Alante played safety at Tennessee.
Right. And I think he would be a good safety. Like, you know what I'm saying? But Caleb Downs, even though he could come down, play the nickel, guard the tight end and stuff like that. Maybe not a guy you want covering, like, say you move Shaheed to the slot. You don't want him covering Shaheed in the slot. You know what I'm saying? Man to man. But he's just so versatile. You could just do whatever with him. I mean, he's playing deep. He's playing on the line. He's playing kind of center field. They did so much with the defense, whether there's like one half quarters coverage, other half cover 2, that's cover 8. They call that cover 8. Like they was doing so much of that defense, and he was the orchestrator of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was the one that's like pointing out who should cover who. Watch out for this rub route. Watch out for this motion. Da 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 da. Like, he was the one, and just the intelligence and just ability to like quickly see stuff and then react to it. Like, you just can't coach that, bro. Like, that's something you either have or you don't, bro. You either have that or you don't.
And like, he's been, obviously he was a freshman at Alabama. He transferred to Ohio State, and essentially since he got to Ohio State, like that's who he's been from the jump. So we have a lot of clips. Again, these are just, I'm trying to think which one I want to start with. And I want to start with his play against the run game, because I think that's an underrated trait that he has. I remember a point in the Saints defense when that position, like that nickel safety, we had it with Malcolm Jenkins a bit, and then we had it with Von Bell that 2018 season where the tight end position was not a problem. Like, they got eliminated completely. And it's been a while since they've had a player that could take tight ends out of the game. And just in the modern function of the NFL, his ability, because a lot of his coverage, a big part of his coverage, especially when he's playing closer to the line of scrimmage, he's lined up against tight ends. And like you said, he's not a nickel where you want him lined up guarding the slot receiver or whoever's in the slot, because that's not his game. I think if you put him in that role, it's gonna expose him. But if you line him up against tight ends in the NFL, he's gonna make his money in going against coverage in them and doing like a good to great job on them. He's going to make his money. That Alante blitz, I just kept thinking, because Ohio State ran it a couple of times too. Like, that Alante blitz looks a lot different when it's Caleb Downs who's doing it. And like, all that to say, the fact that he's so multiple, there are games where against Michigan, Matt Patricia, this past season, 2025, Matt Patricia pretty much just squarely used him in the box. Like, he was in the box because they knew defensively, we're going to go against a team that's going to be running the ball, throwing the shit out of the ball. Like, that's what they're going to try to get their bread and butter. So we're going to put our best player in to help shut down the run game. So he becomes like a chameleon in terms of like what you're going against offensively. If you need him to be a box safety most of the game, bet he has it. If you then need him to back him up and play split safety coverage, cover 3. They played a lot of man free in Ohio State. There's like a lot of man free, meaning that Caleb Downs was like the lone safety back there, and then it's kind of man coverage or potentially zone coverage on the outside. And he does it all. He literally does it all.
And one great thing he does is when he's close to the line, or I wouldn't even say he has the ability to like play off or play downfield and know exactly when to break, the break. So he's potentially in the box, even though he's not playing in the box pre-snap. But he will shoot down there so fast and know like where the bubble in the offensive line is to get to that running back to make a stop, or where the
He does that so often on
So
film.
often, bro. And he gets in the mix, bro. Like, there's a lot of times where he's not in the mix in the run game because he's, playing deep.
Yes.
Or whatever, but don't get it twisted. Like, he will get in the trash.
It's the opposite of Pete Warner and Isaiah Foskey. Because, like, they get in the mix.
How many times you in the goal line and you just see them just standing there like, oh, what's going on over there? It's like, get your ass in there, bro.
He's a 180 of that, bro.
180. One freaking 80, bro. And that's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, especially defensively, bro. So these are your clips. Yo, what up, Wolf? What are you looking at?
Man, I'm checking out this website. This site is cheeks, bro.
In 2025? How do you have a crappy website? Couldn't be me.
They need to hit up our guy Bijan with Precious Works. Precious Works offers to not only build you a website that's tailored to you and your customers' needs, but also to continue to manage and maintain it so you can focus on your business. Don't have much time? Precious Works is just what you need. No out-of-the-box stuff like Squarespace or Wix. Precious Works will create a site for you. You won't have to worry about plugin updates, security, or things like that because Precious Works will maintain all of that and be available to you 24/7. Bijan set up Saints Block Party Podcast website for us a few years ago and hit it out the park. He also keeps it up to date and helps us anytime we want to add something new like a form or prospect matching tool that we did for the NFL draft. It's like having your own personal developer, just a text or a call away. Precious Works has worked with everyone from small businesses to large firms, so no job is too big or too small. If you're in the need of a website or you currently have one, but you want to upgrade it, give Bijan a holler at Precious Works. You can get with him at Bijan at Precious Works, BIJON at precious.works, or go to precious.works for his website. Make sure to tell him Saints Block Party sent you.
It is like for me to make like, and hashtag juice, hashtag new agenda is on, but for me to be like, man, I'm fine bypassing juice in round one. We can wait for round 2, round 3 to get juice. That shows how great of a player he really is, bro. Like, it really does.
You could go look at the Discord. When Caleb Downs getting brought up earlier this year, I was like, hell no. No. Ain't no goddamn safety getting taken. All the juice we need? No, ain't happening. No. But after watching, I retract that statement.
Big Shaquille O'Neal, I apologize. I was not familiar with your game energy.
Not familiar with your game, bro.
Tony said someone like that on defense 100% qualifies as juice. That is accurate. He is. He's
a racer, man. Like some players I look at on defense and I call them erasers because it's like you don't, like you look at the stat sheet at the end of the game and it might not pop out. You might have three tackles. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? You know what I'm saying? But you got to like watch them and watch the tape because their measure is what they don't allow. Like the plays that don't happen, the offense can't make because of them. You just can't really measure it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you can only measure it in the strength of what the overall defense is doing. I mean, I think that's the type of player he's going to be. He probably won't have the interception numbers and although I think he's going to make his plays.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be that guy with, 11, 12 interceptions. He's just not that type of player. His impact will be in just giving you like a good, solid, like foundation of a defense that prevents big plays from happening, that prevents literally a defense, like just defending the actual end zone. And that's what he's going to do.
100%. Getting into, like, I feel like I want to hit on some of the things, like, in terms of, like, quote unquote, like, negatives in this game, and, just to keep it completely honest. Mm-hmm. One thing that stuck out to me, we talked about the interception production, like you just hit on, like he just doesn't have that, which I think that, people will use that as a, detraction. There are some plays where he's there, and it doesn't happen a lot, but he does have some small, like, missed tackles where it's just more like annoyances that's happened that I noticed a couple of times. And then in terms of that, the comps to Derwin James and the comps to Jalen Ramsey, obviously Jalen Ramsey is different because he played outside corner. He was like a stud in his prime. But even just the comp to Derwin James, Caleb doesn't have like that thick, like, body size that Derwin James has. And so again, that's why I kind of settled on the Brian Branch thing, because I think they have similar-ish body types, to some degree. I think Caleb is probably a little bigger than Brian Branch was coming out of Alabama, but now obviously Brian Branch got into the NFL and the NFL strength and conditioning program. But like, if you want to like look at like quote unquote like faults with his game or as a prospect, I think that's what you will kind of like see or lean into. Like, oh my God, there's a play that you liked as well in Texas.
Yeah, don't score, bro. Like that's what it's all about for me. Like, as a safety, that's what it's all about. Like, that's your job. Your job is to prevent the score as a safety, and that's what it's all about. And how many times have we seen Saints safeties, as soon as they get blocked, it's over. Like, that's a wrap. They're not a part of the play. Just the fact that he's in the game, that Texas game, they whipping up on everybody remember that game. It was the first game of the season. They whipping up on poor Arch, and his effort is like 100% throughout that game. Like, he is playing 150,000 miles an hour the entire game. That's my type of defensive player, bro. Love it.
Boom. Also, if you're not, so I will say for the Prospect of the Week episodes, I get people like watch have just like listening to audio podcasts. That's your thing. I'm just telling you right now, you're missing out if you're not watching this, whether it be on Patreon or YouTube when we post it to YouTube. So juice meter for Caleb Downs.
Juice meter between 1 through 7.
No. 0 through 10.
All right, I'm gonna need to get a new graphic for this. All right. I'm gonna say,
okay, so let's put this in context.
Yeah.
Previous juice meter, and I think maybe we should put a slide going forward of like our juice range. So
I know our juice levels. Yeah.
For Jordan Tyson, we said 7.5. For Jeremiah Love, we said 8.5. Peter Woods, we said 2.
Okay.
Caleb Downs,
I'm gonna say he's a 7.
Okay.
I think he's a 7 juice. And it's defensive juice. You already get a little knock because it's defensive juice.
I put him at a 9 for my juice, bro.
Ooh, like, all right.
Like, I think in terms of just him as a whole player, like what he does defensively as a football player, I put him at a 9.
And here's why, and I could discuss my negatives with him now. Like, the interception thing is a major thing for me. Like, to me, I want my safety to be like a ball hawk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't have to be to be a great safety. But I personally I like to see that ball production. And I know why he doesn't have it, because he is like very much a do your job safety. He's not a gambler. Yeah. He's not going to take a bunch of chances, which is why you don't see as many negative plays from him. His play, like, he's always in the right spot, almost always. You know what I'm saying? And that's a great thing. But doing that also prevents you from getting some of the ball production that some players might get because they're willing to take chances and kind of gamble. But I think in the NFL, as long as he's in the right spot, I think the balls will come to him. So that's like my one negative. And the other negative I would like to just see him just kind of be more of a striker when he hits, like just that. I just want to see that ball pop out off the running back. I want to see the helmet flying off. Like, I just want to see that violence. And he's not like a physical. He's a physical player, but it's just not that strike. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny you say that, because I get that, because when you watch all the games I watch, like, you definitely see that. It's funny that the last game of the season that they played against Miami, he caused 2 fumbles in that game. I think both were against Malachi Toney. Just the way he was hitting. He had a great game against Miami, even though Ohio State lost that game. But yes, that real, like, true, like, physical, and he is a physical player. Like, I hear what you're saying. Like, you want the running backs,
like, blah blah. And look, that's like, honestly, in today's NFL, it's getting harder and harder to find.
Man,
it's just hard to find those type of safeties. Just because of the way they coach now. Like, you get a flag in the college, like, if you just sneeze on a player wrong, bro. So
crazy.
It's just, the game has just changed. And that's, old heads like me just got to come to terms with that. You know what I'm saying?
Me too, bro. Like, I can't stand some of the calls sometimes I see that ends up being flags. Do you have to squint with Caleb Downs?
Absolutely not, bro. Like, that's a player, like, literally the first game I put on was that Penn State game. And it just was so evident of just what he was, bro. Just like, this is an NFL ready prospect, man. Like, this dude is ready. This is talent.
I don't know, something that's going to be interesting to me, and I don't know, if it'll happen like the Saints version of it, but him playing against the Colts, like, is he gonna like let his brother off the hook?
No, bro. I just saw a tweet earlier. He said, "Man, I'm putting it on his ass."
Bro, tell me, Wolf. I need him, bro. I need him, bro.
I love it, bro.
This nigga really to knock out his brother for the love of the game.
Yeah. If he gonna knock out anybody, it's gonna be my bro. Shit.
Wrapping up our first
divergence.
Finally disagreed in terms of our clouds. For me, in terms of if I was drafting, if I had the power to draft at 8, I would go Caleb Downs over Jeremiah Love. You had Jeremiah Love higher. What's your reasoning for Love over Downs?
And it's really not easily like if the Saints ended up with either one, I would stand it up happy, bro. Like either one.
And both of them might be there at 8, Wolf.
That's the crazy. Both of them gonna be there, bro.
I will say this, bro. If both of those players are there at 8, and these niggas pass on both Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Love, bro.
And you know that's gonna happen.
I'm burning it to the ground, Wolf. I'm burning it to the ground.
You know that's gonna be what happens, bro. Like you know it. Like you know we gonna be sitting on a podcast like this doing the post like
Francis Moyala time home.
Moyala, y'all.
Oh yeah. Put him at guard, and our offensive line's completely full.
Yeah, Kevin Falk. But for me, like if I was the GM, I'd still take Jeremiah Love over him. If I was the GM of the Saints, just because, man, the Saints need some juice, bro. Like I can't move past that, bro. Like they need scorers, they need it all, bro. And I just think Jeremiah Love just provides that. Where Caleb Downs, his impact is more subtle and nuanced, and it definitely helped the defense. Like, there's no question that he would take the defense to another level, in my opinion. But I just like from a scoring, playmaking, like changing the actual scoreboard impact, like Jeremiah Love is like my number one. That's why I would go with him.
Get it. I went with Downs just like for me, just in a vacuum. I just feel like Downs is a better player than Love.
Just clean, bro. Clean.
Just you said this when it's funny because you were saying this as like a negative, but like I kept watching this tape and I was like, this nigga don't make, like he has limited negative plays that he makes on film. Like it is like he has like a few here and there, but they're like out of like, let's say there's, I don't know, like 40 snaps or 30 snaps or whatever we watch per game. He maybe has 1 or 2 negative snaps that he has on the defensive side of the ball as a safety. Like that is nuts. Like I was just like nope.
Like you rarely see where he's like on this opposite side of the field, but the play's going over here. But he got food over here. Like if he's on the other side of the field, it's because that's his responsibility.
Where he's supposed to be.
He's doing some pattern match and stuff over there. The play's over there. Okay, that's what the offense did. But he is not getting food back there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's always on point, you know? Like, have him just give you confidence in your defense. It's just like, okay, I know I'm good.
And it's a little bit tease. And I know at some point we're probably going to break him down as a prospect. But watching Caleb Downs the player I'm going to talk about is Mansour Delane, who if he runs like a 4.4 he probably going top 5. Like just his measurables and you know how NFL needs and wants and teams need corners, like all that. I know Darren Jeremiah had him going to the Giants at 5, and I think if he runs and tests well, I think that makes a lot of sense. But I watched 2 games of Delane. One already when I thought he was going to win the prospect of the week a couple of weeks ago. One he played against Alabama this past season, and one when he was at Virginia Tech and he played safety majority at Virginia Tech.
Oh wow.
And the question I was asking about him as a player is like, what is Delane? Is he an outside corner? Is he like a safety? And especially like the snaps I saw with Delane at safety, at least it was one game. It was the Miami game against Virginia Tech, which is a good game to watch, obviously going against Cam Ward. The way he played the safety position compared to the way that like Caleb Downs played, bro, I was like to watch like two different species. Like it was different. And so just how good he is at what he does is such a thing to watch, especially like when you watch for a player like Caleb Downs and safeties and secondary, you got to have the all 22. Like I'm someone who says that maybe to a degree, I feel like all 22 is a bit overrated. And I feel like the football cotton extended is kind of overrated how great it is. But for safeties and secondary players, you got to have the all 22. It's a must, or you're not going to be able to get a full picture of what they do. In terms of how it breaks down, I could, for some reason, see the Saints maybe passing on Jeremiah Love. Well, obviously, we'll see what happens in free agency because that completely changes the equation. But I could see them passing on him. How do I word this? I could see them using the positional value more against Jeremiah Love than against Caleb Downs, if that makes any sense. Because if you even go back to, as we wrap this up, but if you go back to our draft hit rate in terms of where these safeties have been drafted, at least for the Saints in the first round, they took Malcolm Jenkins at 14. They took Kenny Vaccaro at 15. And both, especially Malcolm Jenkins, and I know it's maybe lazy, but like played at Ohio State, was a corner at Ohio State, but then got moved to safety in the NFL. There's a lot of crossover. And I don't think Caleb Downs is like that because you would not put him on the outside. But like that 14, 15 range is very like safety range. But I can see them, Brandon Staley and Jeff Ireland saying, nah, bro, like this is our guy. Like if he's there at 8, like let's. And I know that the Saints have loved him as a prospect before the season, going into the season. I do, and I feel like this happens with players like Caleb Downs is during the draft process is just like people just get tired of hearing how great they are. And it happened with Kyle Hamilton last year, not last year when he got drafted. It's like people like then start to like look and like, oh well, he doesn't do this, and then he doesn't
start focusing on the negative.
And I can see that happening with Caleb Downs.
So with Tet last year, Tet was just like clear cut, like wide receiver, 1 and all that stuff. People just got tired of talking about Tet. Then you start poking holes. Oh, he's not.
This nigga eating funny.
Smacking his mouth. Ended up being just a good wide receiver. 1,000-yard good wide receiver. And he went drafted like 9th overall. So 8, whatever.
Yeah,
but it's crazy. It's gonna be fascinating. It's gonna be fascinating to see what the Saints do, especially if our top 2 players end up on the board right there at 8, just sitting there, bro.
I'm gonna be sick, bro.
Hold on. Okay, if like we haven't done David Bailey yet. Alvin Reese, we expect not to be there. But like, okay, if like those 2 guys are there and they decide to go edge rusher, like I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand it's a need.
Nah, bro. I'm sorry. I
would not be mad. I would not be upset if they went Avery Reese.
I wouldn't be upset. Avery Reese is different. But if it was like, and this is maybe getting into the weeds, but like, let's say you have Bain, Bailey. Let's put it at Bain and Bailey there, bro.
Bain gonna be there too, bro.
You put Bain and Bailey there at, let's say all four. Downs, Love, Bailey are all there at 8. But I think he's the best pass rusher. Well, I think like a pure pass rusher, I think he's the best pure pass rusher in the draft. I would be annoyed if they selected Bain or Bailey over Love or Downs. And I get it. Like I get it's a need, and that to me would, and maybe I'm wrong, but that to me would kind of signify maybe them going more for need as opposed to BPA. And I just feel like to build a great team, you got to go best player available. That's the sense that
I'll be for it, bro. Because I do think the positional value would play into that. Like
there it is.
Just because you can't. The fact is, you can find good safeties late in the draft. You just can't. You can find, and they've done it. Like they found good safeties. You won't find Caleb Downs, but you can find good safeties later in the draft. Edge rushers, just maybe you get lucky, but it's just like the probability of hit day 2, day 3 on the edge rusher is just minuscule. It's 10%, 5%, less than that. Safeties, unfortunately, they're a dime a dozen, bro. And that's why they just don't go high anymore. That's just part of the reason. It's like supply and demand. But some dudes just different. Caleb Downs, to me, once you throw away all that positional value trash, blah, 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 and you look at the actual grade that you have on a player, and I know he's going to be highly graded by Jeff Ireland, probably might have the best grade in his class. And it's like, at some point, it's like, we just going to pass on the best graded player we got the best graded player. We just going to pass on him because
at 8?
Like, take the player.
When this team just needs good to great players, period. Like, as much as I want juice.
That's going to be an argument up in there, boy. Boy, that'd be an argument. I would love to just hear that.
Bruh. And here, the thing that about this process that we just don't know, and obviously this is different because I think you can make the argument that like last year, Kellen, because he got hired so late, like him being involved in it, like he got involved in the draft process a lot later, but still had a huge impact of who they ended up drafting, what have you. he's more involved in this process now. Like, you had the entire Saints contention at the Senior Bowl. You had Mickey Loomis doing like a goddamn press tour. Like, they done won the NFC Championship.
Todd McShay.
NFC South. Listen, when you have a draft like they had last season with Banks and hitting and potentially getting your franchise quarterback in Tyler Shuck, like, you to some degree deserve to talk a little shit, but then also like, bro, like what about the prior? Anyway, don't get me started.
But you was hiding when you had Foskey. At 40, he was hiding. Didn't want to be seen.
Have you seen him? Tell me, have you seen him? But now that Kellen is kind of a part of the process from the jump, I guess you could say, like the beginning of the offseason, it's going to be interesting because a player like Love, and I don't know if I said this on our Love prospect of the week, I feel like the team really likes Love as a prospect. I don't know if they like him like in the top 10, because I don't know if they feel like he's like a top 10 running back. I think the scouts, when I say the team, I think the scouts maybe feel like he's like a mid-round pick, kind of like Mark Ingram-ish, what I think is a little disrespectful to Jeremiah Love. But you could have someone like Kellen get part of the process and being like, man, nigga, have y'all seen him? What y'all talking about? What y'all like? Nah. And that's where it gets interesting, because after last year's draft class, and for the most part how the picks have hit, you could argue like you got, like, at this point you got to give Kellen the benefit of the doubt. Like, if he goes in and he's wanting Love, or maybe he said like, fuck it, like Caleb Downs is a great fucking player, I want him on my team, and he's like going for that, then I think he's earned at this point like the right to make that call. Now, if you don't add juice in this draft, then we will have a different conversation. Like, that's a different conversation.
Yes, indeed. Okay, Caleb at 8. Okay, I'm cool with it, but juice after that, I want nothing but juice, bro.
If they could swing a Caleb at 8 and like a Chris Bell at 42, bro, and I get it, like he's injured, but even I think Pony Pauline from Essential Sports reported that, potentially like Chris Bell may be starting to be good to go by like June, July. Like, I need it. Anyway, that was our breakdown, rundown, everything on Caleb Downs, prospect of the week, one of our favorite players in the draft, and it's just gonna be fascinating to see how it plays out. I haven't even put up the new poll for who we're talking about next week, so I'm gonna put that up in a bit. But we appreciate y'all for watching, taking time to watch and all that, and it was fun. Like you said, it was a palate cleanser, bro. Like, completely different Peter Woods, bro.
Completely different, bro.
But we appreciate y'all for tuning in, checking in, and everything, even though it's the off season and what have you. So if you are a Patreon or YouTube member, like I said, you get this 2 weeks before, you get all the video clips and all that. If you're not, you're seeing this probably after 2 weeks, you're getting the condensed version. But anyhow, we'll be back this upcoming week for our weekly episode, and then we will figure out who we're talking about at the end of next weekend for the next Prospect of the Week episode. But we appreciate y'all, we love y'all, and we are out.
Peace.